In my last video, I ranked many Walking Dead characters. It was my first video and it totaled to about 2 hours long. I would like to carry on a similar trend and do something akin to that, but maybe and hopefully be a bit shorter. So I'm going to rank from favourite down to bad, with great, good, and mid bridging the gap, every season of the Walking Dead franchise. I have 11 seasons of the main show, The Walking Dead proper. We have Walking Dead Dead City, Tales of the Walking Dead, World Beyond, Daryl Dixon, The Ones Who Live, and The Fear the Walking Dead. We'll get there. Yeah, that might be fun to talk about in a very deprecating way. Well, let's start with the big one, shall we? I'm going to go in order for these shows. Season 1 of The Walking Dead. It's iconic in its way. That first episode was groundbreaking. 2012, I think it came out. October, no, 2012, 2010, sorry. 2010 it came out. Just incredible. I don't remember watching it when it first aired. I remember watching season 1 on DVD, just being swept away by it. So, where do I... Season 1. Season 1 overall, maybe great. It starts off fantastic. I mean, it's only 6 episodes. That's the thing, compared to these later seasons, which get to 16 episodes. Like, uh, is it a favourite? No, I don't think it's quite favourite for me. I think it is great. If it was specifically the first episode, I would put it in favourite. But season 1 overall, yeah, great. I'm happy with that. I'm going to put that there. Season 2. Season 2 was a mixed bag, really. I know AMC got rid of Frank Darabont, who made season 1, who wanted to adapt Robert Kirkman's comics. They gave the showrunner job to someone else, and it did suffer because of it. I think there were budgeting issues for season 2, and you can tell it was a bit of a meandering season. Um, I think the season length doubled to 12. I believe it was 12. And I don't know if it needed to be 12. They spent so long on that farm that they really needed to get going. But in saying that, season 2 does have some of the most iconic moments of the entire show. The reveal. Oh, I should say this video is total spoilers for all of this. So if you haven't seen any of these, I mean, unless you don't care about spoilers, you don't watch it. Go watch the show and come back. Season 2. The Sophia's reveal, she comes out of the barn. The intro episode where they're on the highway and all the zombies appear and they're all hiding and Andrea gets attacked in the RV bathroom. Really great that. We are introduced to Herschel, Maggie, and Beth, poor Otis. Shane's death is at the end of the season, which is crazy to say, given how long this show runs for. Shane dies at the end of season 2, and it's great. It's when we find out that everyone's infected. But the overall season, there was a lot of filler. Laurie was at her most Laurie. Wasn't sure if she was written to be annoying or if we were actually supposed to root for her. I'm not sure. You need to kill Rick, Shane. No, other way around. You need to kill Shane, Rick. Well, at the end of the season, that happens. Why did you kill Shane, Rick? Yeah. I'm going to put season 2 in good. Possibly nostalgia reasons. maybe a good way to do this is by thinking about, would I like to go back and rewatch it tomorrow? Season 1, yes. Season 2, no, I don't think so. I think I'd watch a select few episodes, maybe some highlights or something, but I don't think I'd like to rewatch the entire season. But because of those moments, because of those iconic moments that just last, I mean, Sophia and her reveal of being in the barn is still going on for Carol's character, right? So this season has a legacy. It really does. Season 3, I'm going to move on to that. Season 3 is when I started to get into the show. Um, I think I watched it on DVD as well. I had seen season 1 and I liked it, but I hadn't followed up on it. And then I watched some episodes of season 3 on a whim, and I really liked it. It's sort of, in my opinion, given what the show ends up becoming, season 3 is when The Walking Dead becomes The Walking Dead. You know, unexpected deaths. Any they always said anyone can die at any time in The Walking Dead. It was true up to a point, but this season is the reason that exists. I mean, we had Laurie and T Dog die randomly in, I think, episode 4 or something. Um, Herschel gets his leg bitten off and amputated. That's where you find out we can survive. I say we can survive. Let's pretend we're living in the world. That's where you find out where we can survive a bite if we're on a limb, if we're lucky enough. Carl having to kill Laurie. Rick goes insane. And I mean, that doesn't stop. Not really. But Rick goes insane. And of course, I should fail to mention the debut of two important characters. One of them's the Governor. The Governor is the first major human villain. And we've got Michonne. Michonne, of course, is a legacy character at this point. The Governor as a villain, I'm hard pressed to say he's been topped. Negan's fun. Negan gets a bit tiresome. The Terminus guys were fun. They're only around a bit. And I think Alpha and the Whisperers are great. But there was something about the Governor with Merle returning, Martinez, the whole weird, shady side of Woodbury going on. They actually let that story breathe, and it was told really well. I think I'm going to put season 3 in favourite. I would rewatch that tomorrow if I could. Season 4. The beginning of the season's a bit jumbled. In fact, I think this entire season's a bit jumbled, and I don't necessarily mean that in a bad way. Like the beginning of the season, there's that flu sickness arc at the beginning, in which does give Herschel an incredible, um, you know, moment for the show. A couple of episodes at least. Herschel's like really incredible in it. Rest in peace to Scott Wilson. It was absolutely fantastic. Rick's trying to be a farmer. He doesn't want to lead anymore. There's a mysterious illness going around. Zombies are bleeding from their eyes. There's the 2 episodes where we're following the governor. I think a lot of people didn't like them at the time, and maybe sentiments changed. I remember liking them a lot. That was the kind of thing I really liked. The kind of thing I wanted out of a show like this was following the perspectives of different characters. Doesn't always have to be Rick. Doesn't always have to be Maggie. The mid-season, I guess, finale, where the governor dies, Herschel dies, just one of the best episodes. I don't. It's in the handful of top tier episodes for me, and the back half of the season. Oh, that's right. Everyone was heading towards Terminus. The Rick, the Carl, the Michonne stuff was great. I don't like that Beth and Daryl episode. The Grove episode with Cal and Tyrese with the look at the flowers bit. Yeah, fantastic. There's really good stuff in it. I'm going to put season 4 in good above season 2. Season 5. Now, I've actually just finished a rewatch of season 5. I'm automatically going to put it as a favourite. I really like season 5. The single best episode of this entire franchise is in season 5. We all know what it is. It's the opening episode where Carol saves everyone's bacon at Terminus. Absolute Terminator Carol, just killing everyone. So the bit with Tyrese and the guy who's threatening baby Judith. Great. The trough scene. Oh, the trough scene. I can't just gush on that episode. I need to speak about the whole season. The tainted meat bit with Bob and the church. I'm tainted meat. Oh, great. Gabriel, we get introduced to Gabriel. I will say I've automatically put it at the top of favourite for me. What does let this season down is the Beth hospital arc. I feel like they were just killing time. Beth didn't need to die in that mid-season finale. She didn't need to die. They killed Tyrese an episode later, and I loved that. I thought that was fantastic. I don't think he needed to die, but it was a really great episode, and it really um, was quite emotional. The hospital stuff does mark it down somewhat, and in fact, I don't know if season 3 has any marked down arcs like that. But there's just something about after Terminus, these guys not having anywhere to go. They're struggling out on the road. They're all becoming feral. We meet Aaron. No one trusts him. I mean, why would you? He went about meeting these guys in a really weird way. But then then we all arrive at Alexandria. And I honestly can't quite believe that they get to Alexandria and we remain there for the rest of the show. I mean, obviously it branches out, but Alexandria was in the show more than it wasn't, which is kind of surprising, really. But those first few episodes, I remember at the time being so gripped by them. They're all struggling to fit in. There is some semblance of a normal life behind the walls of Alexandria. And Rick is absolutely feral. Daryl is feral. Carol is putting on airs, not airs, putting on a guise, but she is as feral as the rest of them. And they're all just trying to fit in. And we don't know if it's going to work. They want to take over the place if it doesn't work out. These guys need this home. Yeah, just fantastic. I love season 5 so much. So we'll move on to season 6. I like the intro episode. Look, I know I keep mentioning the intro episodes, but I think they're important. I think if you can remember the intro episode, it speaks a lot for the rest of the season. Season 2 has a good intro episode, but the rest of the season does drag it down. I don't remember the season 4 intro. It's got to be said. I remember Rick being a farmer. I remember Beth having a boyfriend that he dies, but I don't remember anything else from it. But season 6, there's the quarry full of walkers. It's sort of telling a dual timeline of them planning it and then them being forced to, improvise the plan. What lets it down, though, there's the attack by the wolves, which was telegraphed for quite a while, and it I don't think really paid off very well. Those guys were only in one episode. I think the leader shows up in two, but the group, their attack is only one episode, and then they're never seen again. Um, and then there's the bit where they're all just running for like 3 episodes. Glenn, oh, the dumpster. Yeah, the fucking dumpster. Glenn's fake out death, absolutely pointless. And to make matters worse, Glenn has the cliffhanger death. It's not even really a cliffhanger, I suppose. They made it look like he died, where he was laying down and he was being torn apart. Stupid. And then right after was the Morgan episode. Now, that's a really good episode in isolation. That Morgan story and his journey. I can't remember the actor's name, but he played the character Eastman, who teaches him how to use the stick. Now, that's a really good episode in isolation. In fact, it'd have been fabulous in Tales of the Walking Dead if that was around then. But in terms of its placement, we wanted to see Glenn, right? There is a fantastic episode coming up later where Rick and the gang kill all of Negan's men at the, is it a TV station? Satellite station? That's fantastic, where Glenn is forced to kill someone for the first time, surprisingly. And then, of course, the season ends with the uh, debut of Negan. So there are some high points, there are some real low points in season 6. I do enjoy it on the whole, but it's going to be the first mid, I think. And look, I understand mid here is not actually in the middle, but we've got 5 tiers here. Mid just means average for me for this. We've got, my personal favourites. We've got ones that I think are objectively great. We've got seasons that I think are objectively good, but not maybe quite as high. Just an average season where I enjoy bits and pieces. I have some problems with it, but overall it's fine. And then we got bad seasons, and spoiler alert, they're coming up. Well, they're coming up now actually, because we're coming to season 7. Season 7 starts off on a bad note. Um, we find out who Negan chooses to kill in the lineup. Now, I think that's the biggest moment in the whole show, in the whole franchise, to be honest. That lineup is both the most famous and the most infamous of this franchise, but it's not entirely for the right reasons. So, at the end of season 6, the last shot of the season is a point of view shot of Negan bashing someone's head in. And then we had to wait a full year for them to reveal who it was. It was Abraham. Comic book fans everywhere were just expecting to be Glenn, and then it wasn't Glenn. Oh, by the way, later on in the episode, it is Glenn. Negan kills him as well. Just horrible, badly executed cliffhanger, and the season started off with a bitter taste. It should have been sort of horrifying, but you want to see more. Instead, it was sort of horrifying and they did that. And I'm not the only one who thinks that. This show lost millions and millions of viewers because of how this season started, and they continued to dwindle. I think season 7, let's talk about the rest of season 7. They're under Negan's thumb for a while. Eventually, they want to break out of it. Daryl is captured at the sanctuary by Negan, who's been trying to brainwash him. Carl tries to infiltrate the sanctuary. Jesus is there. We're introduced to the kingdom for the first time, and that's cool. I liked the kingdom stuff. I liked the Morgan and Daryl stuff. Not Daryl. Well, I guess Daryl was there, but I liked the Morgan and Carol stuff at the kingdom. I think the intro to Ezekiel and Shiva was fantastic. really great. This larger than life, bombastic character. But in that same episode, he had a whole monologue about how it was just an act. It was just an act, and he does it to keep himself and his people going. Smart, very smart writing that. Otherwise, people might have got turned off of that real quickly. But Ezekiel turns. If you watch my other video, Ezekiel is one of my very highest, most favorite characters. I don't remember how season 7 ends. How does it end? I guess they just rebel, do they? Doesn't is Negan about to kill Carl? Is that how it ends? And then the tiger shows up. The tiger shows up, knows who to kill for some reason, and then there's a big gunfight. Look, we all know it's a bad season. It's got some good moments, it does, but it's a bad season. And I'm not going to talk about season 8 too much. We all know that's an even worse season. Just a mess. There's like 5 episodes of non-stop gun battles. Like, I don't really remember what happens in season 8. I know Morgan goes a bit psycho. He sort of breaks his all life is precious um, sort of mantra. Him and Jesus are at odds. Eugene spends his time at Sanctuary. Yeah, I don't. I remember Shiva dies, and I remember the kingdom. The kingdom doesn't fall, does it? No, that's no. I'm leaving it there. We know it's bad. It's possibly the worst season of The Walking Dead, the main show. Season 9. I'm not sure how people feel about season 9. I think the general consensus is that it is pretty good. For me personally, it's going to my favourites. I really like, in fact, I really love season 9, and it possibly could go up there. Not sure yet. Season 9 starts off, they've won the war against the Saviors. Rick's leading this huge project of all the groups, all the communities trying to build a bridge. Some of the Saviors don't like it. Some of the other people don't like working with the Saviors. The bridge, the symbolic and physical connection of all the communities, is compromised. Rick sacrifices himself and quote unquote dies. In the eyes of the other characters, Rick dies, right? We all know he's helicoptered away. But what I like about this season is this show could have easily this show could easily have died when Rick left. When Andrew Lincoln left and when Rick was written out. In some ways I think it got better. Angela Kang took over as showrunner. Certain other characters were promoted, to main cast. There wasn't a Rick anymore. Michonne, Daryl, Carol. I think it's those three pretty much share you know, equal time, equal script space as the protagonist of the show. Um, Other characters sort of move up in the rankings, if it were, as it were. I think Angela Kang dealt with Rick's leaving very, very well. I thought, again, where the show could have tanked really easy, a breath of fresh air was breathed into it. The Whisperers were introduced in season 9. Fantastic reveals to the Whisperers. Jesus is suddenly murdered. There's that bit where Daryl throws it's like an egg timer to try and lure a horde away. Oh, but they ignore it. These are not no normal walkers. No, they're Whisperers. Lydia's there. The Whisperer War continues, and there's the winter episode. For some reason, they made a huge deal out of there being a winter episode in The Walking Dead. Also, there's the big time skip, right? 6 or 7 years later, Judith has grown up some. We actually see Judith for the first time as an actual character rather than a baby or a toddler. And I think little Judith is great. Again, if you watch my video, my last video with the character rankings, Judith ranks pretty high. Yeah, I think season 9's great. And in some ways, I think it's really underrated. For reasons you might not think it's underrated. Season 10, on the other hand, is um, it's a mixed bag. I don't think it started off very well. Um, who were the villains? What were they called? Daryl's girlfriend, the Reapers. I wanted to say the Reavers, but no, it's the Reapers. They wore the masks, and then they never wore the masks again. Maggie comes back because her other show got cancelled. There's a lot of meandering episodes in season 10. And I don't even mean the COVID ones, the extended episodes. I think just there's a lot of filler in season 10. The Commonwealth gets introduced, which is, I guess, sort of the end game for the show. But it takes a while to get in there. And I don't really remember what happens in the middle of season 10. I remember the start. Do I even remember the end? I'm not sure if I do. And for that reason, I'm going to put it in mid. The final season, season 11. I think it's better than the previous one. I think it's better than season 10. Um, the Commonwealth become obviously more established. A lot of our characters' lives transition to the Commonwealth. There's that arc where I guess it's like a Commonwealth civil war, where a certain group of the Commonwealth want to oppress Alexandria and a bunch of the other communities. And then it's a civil war. I like how the show ended. I thought the final episode was pretty good. Although I guess it's not actually the final episode, but it's the final episode featuring most of the cast. Um, Negan and Maggie's relationship in season 11 I thought was decent. I like how they I guess I was say I was going to say solved things. They didn't. They sort of settled things mutually in a roundabout way. Maggie was like, "I can't forgive you, but I will try," or something like that. And she said, "If some days I can't look at you, you have to accept that, and other days I will sort of be fine." Like, fine. I enjoyed their dynamic in season 11. I'm going to put it in good. I think it's better than season 2. Is it? Yeah, I do. I think it's better than season 2. I guess that's the end of the main show, right? So I've got seasons 5, 9, and 3 at the top. Season 1 is a great season. I've got a few mids. We got the obvious ones down here, 7 and 8, and as bad. I guess we'll move on to the spin offs. Actually, it ties in quite well. Just talking about Negan and Maggie's relationship. Basically, does a 180 for when they brought out Dead City. They quote unquote settled things in The Walking Dead. And then when Dead City came about, the writers needed a way for them to have conflict again. Because they can't just be friends, in all fairness. They can't just be friends. They need to work together, but they still need to be conflicted. So let's create some bullshit. Dead City was fine. I enjoyed it for what it was. Seeing New York was kind of fun. I remember the weird Rat King zombie in the sewer was quite fun. I wasn't sure about the Croat as a villain, although he's better in this season than he is in the new one, or the most recent one. Dead City, I think, is good. Yeah, it is. Dead City Season 2 I don't think it's as good. In fact, I don't even know if I have finished it. I think I got 5 episodes in. I don't actually know how it ends. It could very well end it with an absolute banger of an episode, and I have no idea. I don't think it was great. It was watchable. It was watchable. I'm gonna put it in bed. Tales of the Walking Dead. Now, if anyone's not familiar with this show, because it doesn't get talked about very much, um, a few years ago they did. It's an anthology season, is what it is. I don't know how many episodes there are, but every episode is a new story, um, set in a different part of America. I guess I don't know if there's any. I don't know if there's any international episodes, but one of them features Alpha and Lydia. Oh, that's what I meant. Forgot to mention about season 10. It's the end of the fucking Whisper, isn't it? The death of Alpha is pretty good. That when Hilltop burns down, that was pretty good. That yeah, I like the Whisper conclusion, and then Beta like hmm, I don't know. I'm gonna come back to this one. Tales of the Walking Dead, yeah. So there's a bunch of anthology episodes. There's one about Alpha and Lydia when Lydia. It's before she's Alpha. It's before she's started any of that. Lydia is a young child, like a child, and not a teenager. Um, it's set on a riverboat. And I think Alpha kills someone and gets kicked off or something like that. There's an episode with Terry Crews and Olivia Munn, and one of them gets trapped in a crazy person's bunker. There's an episode about like an ecologist in his like tree top lookout. There's a really decent episode. It's quite, in terms of this show, it's quite experimental. It's kind of framed as if it's in a time loop. It's like set at an office on like day zero kind of thing, and it's sort of like Groundhog Day where it just keeps resetting. And I don't know what the gimmick was. Were they dreaming? I can't remember. A lot of this show is forgettable, and there is a reason it's not really talked about. But there are some decent things worth watching. Like if you like this show, then or this franchise, give it a watch. It's something to do for an afternoon. The World Beyond, The Walking Dead World Beyond. This, I think, was an Amazon show. At least it was in the UK. It did introduce the CRM, which promised us big things. I'm not sure really were really delivered on. But my God, season one was. Look, the word cringe is overused, but I think season one was cringe. In fact, I think it was bad, almost unwatchable. Season two did get better. There were good CRM stuff in it. Jadis was in it, I guess. I guess she was the main villain of this show, wasn't she? This season. The main characters wanted to take down CRM from the inside. We don't know what happened to them. We don't actually know if they. Well, they didn't succeed because Rick and Michonne succeeded. But this show season was better. So I'm going to put it. I don't think it was bad, actually. I do think it was. It was mid. It was fine, but it wasn't quite as bad as the first one. Here we come to Daryl Dixon, Norman Reedus' Great European Adventure. Season one goes up here for me. Think it beats. Think it beats season three. Yeah, it might do. I love this show, especially season one. I thought it was different and different where it really needed to be. Like, I really loved Daryl being out of his element in France. Just the way the show was shot was different. Um, just his burgeoning relationship with Isabel, I thought was lovely. I've never been one. If they had never given Daryl a love interest, I'd have been perfectly happy with that. I'm not a Daryl and Carol shipper. Um, I think they're much more suited as best friends, brother and sister, family. Um, if they were going to give Daryl a love interest, which they have done a couple of times now, Isabel should have been the first one. It felt natural and it felt right. Leah from the season 10, maybe 11 she was in, crap. But Isabel was nice. I liked their journey through France. Laurent, the kid, yes, he was annoying. That's the problem with having child characters is they can get annoying. Carl was annoying back in the early days. I think the fandom was so upset with his death, and rightly so, that we forget how annoying Carl was. Judith, on the other hand, I don't think Judith was annoying. I thought she was genuinely well written and well acted. Laurent is somewhere in between them. He was annoying on purpose. He was a boy raised in a nun's shelter, never seen the outside world, had no life experience. He knew only what he knew in books and from the nuns. Like, there's a reason he's annoying. He's got no social skills. His relationship with Daryl, as it gets into the show more, yeah, it's fine. But I do think this season, is one of the best things this franchise has ever done. Season 2, on the other hand, not so much. Um, wasn't as good. I enjoyed it for what it was. Unfortunately, you can see just by tracking the episodes, tracking the story, you can see the behind the scenes like playing out in front of your eyes. So if you're unaware, after The Walking Dead ended, they wanted to do a Daryl and Carol spin-off. Um, Initially, Melissa McBride, who plays Carol, didn't want to do it. She'd obviously done this show for many, many years at this point. Deservedly deserved a break. Deservedly deserved a break. Deservedly needed a break. So that's why Carol's not in season 1. Season 2, Melissa McBride said, "Yeah, I'll come back." So they need a way to get Carol and Daryl together. It was written fine. It wasn't written amazingly, but I enjoyed the character of Ash with the plane and all of that. I like that dynamic. But when Carol and Daryl meet, everything from season 1 is basically written out of the show. Isabel dies. They have Laurent for a while, but even Laurent goes back to America before them. The Ash character takes Laurent. But the villains and some of the characters from season 1 are killed off. Big storylines wrap up, like Janae and the Sixth Republic of France, whatever they were called. Lo Sang and what are they called? Power to the People, something like that. Like, you could see the show that was originally meant to be take over from the show that became. That doesn't make any sense, does it? The original Daryl and Carol show took over from the more unique aspects of season 1. Because they clearly brushed everything else aside. If that makes no sense, I don't really know how to describe it. It makes sense to my head. I'm going to, but all of that said, I did think it was a good season. I thought it was better than Dead City. Yeah, I'll keep it there. The Book of Carol, I'll keep it there. I'm not sure why I've got season 3 up here, actually. As I'm recording this, there's only been one episode. It was a good episode. So I guess I probably don't need to include this because I don't know. We don't know how the season is going to take shape. I'm hoping it's good. All right, before we get to Fear the Walking Dead, We got The Ones Who Live. Was the ending rushed? Yes, it was. Um, did major story beats and plot points have any time to breathe? Towards the end, certainly not. However, I thought the beginning episode where we finally see Rick again is what we've all been wanting. Was great. Michonne's episode was great. Them reuniting was amazing. Just felt good. And right up until the last episode, everything was damn good, in my opinion. It was rushed, though, wasn't it? I do think they needed a couple of more episodes to breathe. I'm not upset about the outcome, just how you got there. But Rick reuniting, and Michonne, but Rick reuniting with Judith and the son he never knew existed was very emotional. And if we never see any more Walking Dead from these two, I'm happy with that ending. But I would like to see more. I'm going to put it up here. I thought it was great. All right, folks. We come to Fear the Walking Dead. Some of these are not going to be surprising. If anyone's stuck with this show to the end, and believe me, didn't actually do that myself. I stuck through most of it. We'll get there. Season 1 was really fun at the time. We got to see, day one of the apocalypse, which we didn't get to see in The Walking Dead. New characters, fun characters. We like Strand, we like Madison, we like Travis, we like Alicia. We liked the fat kid from the first episode. Does he turn up again? Can't remember. This was something Walking Dead fans had been wanting for a while. I'm going to put it here. Season 2 was more of a mixed bag. It's the boat season, right? So they're sailing down towards Mexico. They're in a hotel for a while. I remember Strand having a really depressing but very well written radio conversation with an astronaut. And the astronaut was stuck in space, couldn't come down, which is just terrifying. I remember there being a big storm. Was there a big storm that washed all the zombies ashore? I can't remember. I remember Nick gets taken to this place called the Colonia, or the Colonia. I don't want to attempt a Spanish accent or a Mexican accent. But I don't really know how that turned out. I can't remember. It's a kind of a forgettable season for me. I'm going to put it here. Fear the Walking Dead Season 2 goes there. Season 3 of Fear the Walking Dead, I think, is the best season of the show. And that's not breaking any ground in terms of breaking any new ground in terms of an opinion. But I think most people think that. The ranch storyline with the family versus the natives. Troy was a really good antagonist. There was the control of the dam. Travis died in season 3, right? Nick had a weird journey. That's not saying much. Yeah, season 3 was great. I actually kind of want to watch it again. I'm going to put it there. I haven't seen it for a long time. I've only ever watched it once. A lot of these, the main show I've watched more than once. Some seasons I've watched a few times. Dara Dixon I've watched, season 1 I've watched a couple of times. I've never watched World Beyond more than once. Never watched Tales more than once. I've never watched Dead City more than once. Fear the Walking Dead was not a show I watched every week it was out. I think I watched season 1, season 2. Season 3 I waited till it was all finished and then binged it. Season 4, I did the same. And then I really struggled with the rest of them. Spoiler alert. But let's go for season 4. And cut to the debut of Morgan in Fear the Walking Dead. Some might say he ruined the show. I don't think that's necessarily true. I think Morgan just sort of represents a major downturn for the writing of the show. I don't hate season 4. Morgan was a welcome addition for a while. John Dory was certainly a welcome addition. John Dory was great. June was a great addition. Althea was a fun addition to the show with her SWAT van and her interviews. Wasn't a fan of the split timeline thing with Madison and the baseball diamond base and the group. What were they called? They were scavengers. They're called vultures, right? That was a bit anticlimactic, and Madison died for no reason. I guess. Well, I guess she didn't die, but yeah, season 4. I'm gonna say mid. I'm gonna put it above the season of Dead City. Season 5. I might get some hate for this. I didn't hate season 5 of this show because I understand it was bad. Well, largely bad. I don't know if I'm going to put it in bad, but I actually quite liked the premise of this season. You know, the group was together at this point. Oh, I forgot even to mention that Nick died in season 4 as well. I liked the premise of this season. You had the group as they turned out to be, driving around. I guess they were in Texas or somewhere, helping people in need. I quite like that. I quite like roaming do-gooders in the apocalypse. It's not a bad, plot device. And I really liked the group at this time. There was a good dynamic. I was trying to remember it. There was Morgan, Alicia, Strand. There was the girl that kills Nick. Can't remember her name. There was Daniel Salazar, Luciana, um, John Dory, June, Dwight was debuted in this season, I think. Dwight did a crossover. I think there's the rabbi character. Like, they had a decent group, you know, an interesting group for this season. But, yeah, didn't end well, did it? There was the weird thing about the plane. Oh my god, I forgot to mention the villain from season 4. The psycho lady killer who was chasing them between gas stations. What the fuck was that about? The main character's leaving, supplies for people around the major highways from when they're traveling. And then this psycho woman, just terrible villain. I don't even remember a villain from season 5. I remember a plane crash and then trying to restart the plane, get parts for it. I remember a radiation zone, maybe. Yeah, there was a reactor, right? I also remember a group of feral children that were annoying, but I don't remember how season 5 ends. It's going to be mid. I prefer it to season 4 though. Season 6, I remember really liking. I think people also quite like this season. After a couple of duds, season 6 felt promising. There was that character with the lady from The Boys. She was like the head of like Texas Rangers. Is that right? She had a bunch of communities that she was recruiting people, and there was somewhat of a civil war conspiratorial thing going on between them. Um, Morgan was trying to start his own place. and trying to get people to overthrow. I don't really remember it. I just remember quite liking it. I'm going to have to put it in good and just trust that my memory of season 6 is not letting me down. My memory of my memory of the vibes I got from season 6 not letting me down. Oh Christ! Here we come to season 7 and season 8. Season 7, I did finish. Season, which season has Teddy, the cult leader, in it? I'm gonna Google it on my phone. Hold on. Theodore Maddox is a major antagonist. Um, oh, he's the one that set off the bomb, isn't he? Um, yeah, he's the one that sets off the bomb. So, yeah, he dies for season 7. Season 7 is post nuclear bomb. Morgan's hiding in the submarine. Strand and a bunch of others are in the tower. Oh god, the tower. Yeah, Strand becomes like a fucking despot, like a tyrannical leader. And there's such a this is when the show and all the characters started to feel like a caricature. Like none of them just felt like themselves. Alicia was held hostage, maybe, and became like the puppet leader of an underground group. Strand was trying to start a war on everyone. Oh, look, it's bad. And season 8's bad too. We don't even have to. Madison's alive for some reason. They've been searching for this thing called Padre the whole time. Madison was a child catcher. She was out there. This Padre thing. They were looking for children to do something with the children, to do experiments on the children, and I don't remember what. But Troy from season 3 comes back because apparently he's not dead, even though he definitely died, and even though Madison definitely died in season 4. She does reunite with Alicia. All of the characters basically could go their separate ways, and Morgan goes back to Alexandria. What was the point? I don't know. Yeah, the less said about this season, the better. I think everyone wants to forget about it. I guess that's it. Yeah, I guess we can make a prediction of where I might put this. Look, this spin off hasn't let me down yet. I'm going to predict that it goes there. I'm hoping it goes to one of these, but you never know. You never do know. Well, there we go. There's my tier rankings of all of the seasons in all of the Walking Dead shows, both Walking Dead proper and the spin offs. If you disagree with me, feel free to comment and let me know. I'd like to hear some of your thoughts if you have any. I'd like to know what your personal rankings are. I'd be interested to see where people try and argue some of these lower ones and maybe put them a bit higher. I'd be very curious. But opinions are opinions, none of them are wrong. Thank you for watching. I'm Jack from Jack's Tears. I appreciate it. Have a good one.